Hello, everybody. A warm welcome to Wisdom from North. I'm now in Denmark for a week interviewing some wonderful and wise people. And among them, I have Bille next to me here. He calls himself only Bille. And he is a clairvoyant, a professional clairvoyant. And this will be a sort of another kind of interview because we thought that we would try this for real. Like Bille is going to give me a reading, and then afterwards I'm going to ask him some questions because then you can actually see for yourself how he's working. But first and foremost, welcome to Wisdom from North, Bille.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this.
Yes, me too, because there has been so many people who has recommended you and talked so well of you. So you have this great reputation around Denmark.
Fantastic. Now I feel the pressure on my shoulders.
Yes, I know the feeling. But, for me as well, this is a huge step because it's a matter of not getting too private,
Yes.
but I am open for being personal. And I want to compliment you as well, daring to do this.
Thank you very much. This is going to be my first time to do a reading recorded on camera. Of course, I do all my readings recorded, but on a dictaphone so that my clients get that whole file with them home. But on a camera, it's different. So if I seem a little bit tense or a little bit nervous, that's the reason why. It's my first time.
Yes, but we're here with you, and I think people understand that. Okay, so we'll try. Am I going to say anything here, or am I?
Not to begin with, no. What I'm going to do now is just to shut my eyes closed for a little while. That's my concentration. And I do psychic readings, meaning that I take from your guides, and that is what I use. So I don't really do psychic or spirit readings from your spirits, your loved ones. So I do it from your guides. So all I need to do is just to connect and ask them to show me or guide me in the direction of which we have to talk about. And so I'm just going to start with closing my eyes. And so you'll just get a little bit of silence for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, good. Before I even get to know or get to ask who you are as a person and what you're doing and what your steps in the future will be, there's something, I see it as a fire. I see something burning within you. There's something that you want to let out. There's more to you than what you have noticed so far. There's more to you than what you have dealt with, what you have worked with so far. I have this, it's kind of like a little volcano. And it's about to erupt. Oh. Does it make sense? There's something where you want to go in, and when a volcano erupts, it's just not one direction, it's everywhere. And so that is my feeling, that you're a little volcano and you're about to erupt. And I think you're gonna not go in just one direction. I think there's different directions for you to go in or to go through. I think your paths are different and will take you in different direction. And do not be afraid of this. There's a lot more power to you than you think at the moment. But you're also very vulnerable at the moment. But I actually have a feeling that you have been, I wouldn't say laid down, but I would say have been put to a rest for a little while. I do have a feeling that you've been working hard or working to get through to something. I don't know what that something is at the moment, but I do have a feeling that you have been working hard. And now is the time to put everything together. It's kind of like a puzzle. I do see all of these pieces of a puzzle kind of like getting together, and it's going to be a whole picture now. But as for now, I think your puzzle is a little scattered. It's a little everywhere, but it's going to make a whole picture in the end. So I do think that something is. I think you're about to find your path. I think you're about to find your yellow brick road, but you're not quite there yet. There's still some information that you need, but it will come shortly. As in, I do have a feeling that within the next 3 to 6 months, you're getting more and more information about your path. I have a feeling about a year or within a year, but close to a year from now, you will definitely have a more clear view or a clear knowledge on where to go, how to use all of what you're doing at the moment. So I don't know if it makes sense when I say you're not quite there where you know how to use all the information that you get with all the people that you meet. Am I right in that?
Yes, I know it has a lot of potential, and I have all these dreams, but then I kind of feel a bit overwhelmed. What to?
I think you should take all of your experiences as for now with the people that you meet and the people that you interview as a new book. Every time you meet a new person, it's a new book to put on your bookshelf. And I think once you have your bookshelf full or filled with good books, then you can start to choose to, pull them out again and reread it, or maybe get a second opinion, another opinion, or another path, from that book, whatever. But I think for now, it's just to fill in your library, really. And then you make a decision on who you are going to be in all of this and where this is going to take you. So I'm not saying that all of the interviews are they're good for you at the moment, but I don't think that all of them will be, super for you. But it definitely, they're about to make a platform, a foundation, a good foundation. But it's all very useful for you. But you haven't quite found your way in it yet.
So you're saying this is a step along the way?
Oh, yes. This is training.
I'm on training now.
You are. But it's a good training. And I really do want to honor you, or your guide want to honor you for what you do, because you're very sensitive, and you can be very sensitive to things. And so this is really putting yourself out on a limb. I mean, this is sensitive stuff. And so they applaud you, they honor you for what you're doing, because this is not easy. And also because you are slowly, but very determinedly shifting your personality. Let me see if I can put that in a different way. I think the way that you have been viewed as from other people, is going to shift. So you're not, of course you're going through a change, but I think the whole view of you is about to shift. But I do think that this is good for you. You might lose a little bit of people on your way, but that's okay. That's fine. Some will come back and some won't, but it all has to do with you in a personal development. And you're really doing some good stuff at the moment. You're really doing good. I also feel a little scared when I say this on your behalf. So you must often find yourself with a little rumble in your stomach, not knowing if this is right or if this is not right, but doing it anyways. And I think sometimes you'll get a slap in the face, and then you'll stand up again and say, okay, so I learned from this experience, and then you'll move on. So all of what you're experiencing at the moment has to do with you in a personal development. Of course, we always are. But as for now, you're taking some grand steps towards becoming whole as a person. So I'm not exactly sure what you did in the past or what you have worked with, but there's something about pulling away from that to be noticed in a different way, to be understood in a different way. So it's very opposite from the past on what you do now, but it's still you, and it's still your personality. And I think your personality comes through in a much greater way. You do have, I hear, I'm talking to a man, by the way. So your guide is a man.
Can I ask a little bit who he is, how he looks like?
You haven't met him in this life, but you have made a connection in the spirit world. I see him as a young man, young when he passed, when he crossed over in his life. I see him casual, but also very with a knowledge, with a knowing. He's bright, he's intelligent. I think you are too, by the way. I think he has had a flair for storytelling on a different way. It's just, he could have been a writer, he could have been a professor, he could have been a teacher, I do have a feeling he could have been a singer. But I do have a feeling that he has been someone to lead the way, or just give information, or a lecture somehow.
So we had a life together, and now he chose to be my guide, not to reincarnate.
You chose him too. I mean, this is how it works. You have an agreement in the spirit world. But I would like to know how you connect brothers. He said. So you have been his brother. I've
been his brother?
Yeah, in a previous life. You were brothers.
Oh. How far back?
According to his clothing, I would say we're probably back around the beginning of the 1900, late 1800, beginning of 1900. So about 100 years back. But when I ask him how he died or how he entered the spirit world, he doesn't give me that information at the moment. But I do have a feeling that you. I don't think you passed on the same time. He was 2 years ahead of you, and then you passed also. It was difficult times, he says. This is definitely European. So this has been a life in Europe. I have a feeling of Spain, but I'm not exactly sure about that. But there's something, actually I do get a taste of different foods that for me represents Spain. It could also be Portugal, but it's it's in the same area.
But has he been with me all the time, all my life?
Yes, he entered your life when you were born. So, and he's going to stay with you until you're not here anymore, and he's going to be the one to welcome you in the spirit world.
Oh, really? This is profound information. I actually never knew who my guide was, but is this my main guide?
This is your main guide, and then you have different other guides. You have about a handful, five, six. There's 5 others besides him. There's a very strong woman character, female energy that I find also, but I think she has more to do with your spirituality. That, kind of like nursing, comforting energy that you also carry with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to make an interview like this if she wasn't there, if she wasn't present. Of course, you would, but I don't think you would have the same success rate. You know what I mean? Thank
you.
Well, she thanks you too.
Can he say like something about me so I know that he had been with me?
He'll be talking to me throughout this whole interview.
Like details.
I hope that he will. He says you're very determined to bring a change into your life, and you have been for quite a while. He says that if we go back 7 years, there's something starting then. So where were you in your life 7 years ago?
I was 28. Then I was in this show in Norway. It went for, I was there 2 years. It's this drama series. So I got this huge part in my life.
Was that changing in your life? Do you feel that it changed you somehow?
Oh yeah, in many ways. Well, I started believing in myself in a completely different way. I felt all of a sudden worthy, valuable, not because I got the role, but I understood that it was not about the role. I had this huge epiphany, like I was just as valuable with the role or not with the role, and it mustn't define my happiness. I realized that.
So that is part of what he's saying. So 7 years ago, you started your journey, so to speak. So it did something to you. It is a huge shift in your life, and he applaud you for it. There's going to be another shift to you, but it's still going to be very positive. It's going to open up for some new ways, new directions. He says that you were thinking about writing stuff. Are you writing a book? There's going to be some book writing to you.
Well, it's in my mind. But I haven't started writing.
You don't have to at the moment, but you are gonna write. Okay, this is a little strange because he says some of it could be your biography, your life, and that could be one of the books, but also I think your experiences on a more spiritual way. But I think you can do both. I think you can make that transition or that shift in both writing about your life as it is, but also your beliefs. It's the one book is already written. It's just about taking it down. It's downloaded. Just write it.
What?
So it's gonna be easy for you. Okay. He says that you will do something about this around Christmas time. So around Christmas time, I have a feeling that you're about to either see a writer who could help you, an editor or something. You could easily write it yourself. Have you written before?
Yes, I've tried, but it's I have a lot of resistance in me. It's in a way hurtful to write. At the same time, it's lovely.
I think it's going to be therapeutic to you. He's also telling me that you for a long time in your life had put on a face or a mask or facade as to how you would like people to notice you or know you. And that has been, you had to do that because of what? Because of your sensitivity. So he also gives me a feeling of you being very sensitive, which is good. But I also have a feeling that before you knew that was what it was all about, that could scare you a little bit, that you got a little bit scared of your sensitivity. And I'm not always sure that you were in it would be wrong of me to say in good hands with your sensitivity, but do you understand what I'm saying? That when you were much younger, I don't think that people always noticed, even the people close to you, as in parents or siblings or relations, always noticed that you were indeed very sensitive, and sometimes maybe mistook you for being a very strong person. You are in your sense a strong person. You have a good foundation. But there's also that sensitivity. And I think along the way, when you were growing up, I don't think that people noticed that sensitivity. And I think that scared you a little bit, or did something to you where you didn't feel yourself or couldn't find your way or your path. Does that make sense when he says that?
Oh yeah, I think I'm very sensitive. Yeah, and very vulnerable. Yeah. At the same time as I'm very strong.
Yes.
But I have strong emotions, very strong emotions.
But he gives me that feeling that it wasn't really, that people didn't see that part of you, and maybe knew that you were sensitive, but never really, I wouldn't say didn't care about it, but it almost feels like that, or didn't put that into your identity, but more took the strongness, and worked with that.
But I had a strange childhood in many ways, because I was, an actress. So a child star. Okay. So I met all these adult people, and I had to deliver.
That makes sense. So now it begins to make sense to me what he's saying. So I think in that, so it's much business around you, and putting that into a perspective, and taking that. So some gathering from what he says, I would say that most people looked at you as sorry to say this, as an object that they could form or mold in a way, but didn't see behind that, didn't see the sensitive girl.
Probably, yeah.
And I think that is what's coming through now. So, and that is what I referred to earlier. So you will shine in a different way. And some people might not understand that, and some might, turn the back on you. But it doesn't really matter. You don't need them in your life.
What do you mean by that? I will shine in a different way, and some might turn.
You're about to take your personality to a different level. I think you're about to find the things within you that matters really. So I think you're about to be in a different kind of truth to yourself. So this is something that you've worked on for the past 7 years. And it's going to take a little while yet, maybe a year, a little more than a year yet, to come, but it will work.
So we took a little break here because it became private, and that's private. But now we're back on track, and yeah, you talked about the different directions that I'm gonna take.
Yeah, and the thing is that you should never just choose one direction, and that's the little volcano that I saw that always goes in different directions when it erupts. So I think life would be dull. You would find yourself being bored or not being inspired if you just took one direction. So as for now, I think with your work, your professional work, your other side, where you use your creativity in a different way, your talent will take you in a new way. And I think that's what I talked about earlier, something that comes from within, a desire to do something, an urge to do something new with your life or something different, and very much where you are in control.
Oh, I like that.
So go ahead and do it, because you do have the power to do it. And it's so important for you that you're not the one being directed, that you are the one to direct now, to, be the boss now, be the boss.
But that's so true, because all my life I've been directed, told what to do as a little child. You can imagine, when you're a child, you're like looking up to the adults, and I was a child actress, and then stand here, do that, and I wanted so to be liked, So I think that's part of why I'm doing this, because on my show I choose who I want to speak to, I choose everything, and that's so liberating for me.
And go ahead and do that, because that's where your energy is. And as for now, as you're talking and saying this, you glow. There's a whole different energy and light to you at the moment. And this is what your guides is applauding you to. Go ahead and do it, and you will have success with it.
Can I ask you something? I've always been so interested in UFOs and extraterrestrial lives and planets, and it's almost like, why am I longing up there? Can you give me some answers there?
I think when you start your spiritual path and when you're open to it, I think that you'll be drawn to different kind of things. I think that you somehow have a knowledge that there is something more to this universe than we know of at the moment. And I think that once you have that knowledge, you can't let go of it before you have it examined, before you've dug into it and really took all in of what it is. So I think it's just kind of like, I know there's more to it, to this universe, and so go and explore. So make contact to the people that you need to maybe make an interview with or can tell you more about it. I'm absolutely sure that that there's something there. So investigate it.
Do I have some extraterrestrials around me? Or?
No, and they would never come through in a reading like this, because that's a whole different thing, a whole different reading. They do not carry the humankind energy, so I would never be able to connect to.
This is interesting. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I love this subject. Okay, so you're saying that you can only connect to the guides that have lived with me before, but not the extraterrestrials. But what I've heard lately is that we are multidimensional beings, but you are more separating.
Yeah, I think that we can. I think we can learn from each other if there is life out there. I haven't decided yet. I think there is. I would like to think there is. I'm not that. I don't think that we could be alone in this universe at all. For me, that's just. It's obvious that we're not. But I don't know what life is on other planets.
You haven't had any experiences.
I haven't had any experience with it. But I'm absolutely sure that we are connected somehow, but we cannot connect on that emotional level. We can connect on a different level maybe. And they can definitely learn from us, and we can definitely learn from them. But I would never be able to tap into their energy, because it's so different from what I know. I can only tap into something that I know of. This is how a reading works, and how a clairvoyant works. My job is to address what I'm hearing from your guide. So actually what is going on now is that your guide is talking to my guide, who's talking to me, and I'm talking to you.
Oh, really?
That's how it works. Yeah. So, and all of that I get in now is I start with an emotional feeling. I start with an emotion, a feeling of how you are. And then I get pictures, images, and then I hear things. I can even get tastes and smells also. And since I don't have and also your guide and my guide are talking to my library, all of my experiences throughout life.
What you know.
Yes. So let's just take an example here. If I never knew of an elephant, had never heard about it, never seen it, then, my guide would not bring an elephant up as a subject. I might get a picture of something big, grayish, with a tail in both ends. I would probably gather it was an animal because it had 4 legs, but, I wouldn't be absolutely sure about it. And I probably would not bring it up. And if you hadn't seen an elephant either, that would be, so what the heck is he talking about? Do you know what I mean? So my guide are talking from my hard disk, really, pulling things out of my hard disk that represents what your guide is telling my guide.
So it's kind of a translation.
Yes.
So somehow part of the message can be lost.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's why you say you should only, you can only be, I think it's about 85 to 90% sure in a reading. You would never get the full picture because it never is a full picture. I speak out of context. I don't see your whole life. That would be too much. But I do see what is about to occur, about to happen, what's going on in your life.
Yeah, it seemed like you talked a lot about the future.
Yes, because the future has a lot to do with where you are at the moment, because you're making that transaction, you're making a change at the moment. You're really going from being one person, you're still the same one, of course, but you're going from being one personality or using different abilities in your personality as in before, and making that transition over to becoming more yourself now. That's how I feel you.
But is it also a possibility that can never happen? Because I have free will, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's more likely, or that's the most likely to happen.
If you don't do things, if you don't change what you hear here, if you still, I say, if you're walking on that path that you're determined on, this is what's going to happen. But you can make a change. You can say, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to. Yeah. I was told once myself in a reading that I was going to connect to this and this person, and immediately I knew who this person was, and also knew that I was not going to allow this. So I didn't take it as a warning, but I took it as, if you don't do something about it, this is going to happen. And so I decided that I was not going to connect fully or deeply to this person because I thought this person was not good for me. And so I decided to not do it. And then, of course, something else is going to happen. Then it's going to twist or turn your life a little bit. But I was determined. I was ready to do that. And it turned out really that this person actually came into my life and started to make a huge change. And I was just like, no, I said stop. And also disappeared very fast out of my life.
Because you had a clear intention. But do you think we have a destiny?
I think that we do, yes. But I also think that we should not be too hooked up on it. And, I think we all have a destiny. I think we all have a path, a life learning, so to speak. And if that's what you call destiny, yes. If you say, my destiny is that I can never find true love, I would say that's not true. Then you kind of like attract that, and then your life is going to be that. So you are what you think and what you act out. So if you say, I can never find true love, you never will find true love. That's how it works. That's like, to put it in a simple way. Yeah.
That's like the paradox in a way, that we have free will and still the destiny. And
you have some guidelines, I like to say. So something is being given to you in guidelines, and then you of course have a lesson or lessons to learn in this life, but it's your own will. You made that when you were in the spirit world. It's you who made that. Okay, I need to do this with the next life. I need to learn this and this. There's not such thing as a greater energy to point you out and say, you have to go down now, reincarnate again and do so and so. It's your own decision. That's my belief.
I believe that too, actually, that we have soul contracts and we make the arrangement.
So about the whole thing, you know, and that's why I don't usually do the religious kind of thing. I do think you can call it a god. That's fine. I call it a greater energy, but I don't think that we are told that we are good or not good. I don't think that we are being judged by someone else, another energy. I think we judge ourselves.
Yeah.
And we know exactly what we did good in this life when we are about to enter the spirit world. And we also know what we did not so good. And that we did not so good or really bad, we have to go back and change and do some, you know, differently. And we succeed in that too.
So this guide that's here, do we all have guides?
Yeah. And we all have one that follow us from the moment we're born until the moment we're not supposed to be here anymore. And then we have different other guides coming. They can stay in our life for years and years, and you know, but they can also change. And we usually have changes throughout our life. And usually, when we ourselves feel a huge change, that's because we also change our guides. That's my belief.
Can they appear differently? Because I must say that I've heard many talk about my guides, and they have always mentioned different guides. You know, it's never the same.
Yeah, and sometimes you can tap into a different guide's energy because that is what is relevant for your life at the moment. So if you're undergoing like a huge shift in your learnings, like if you were to go back to university or go to university, that would be a huge change for you. And so one of your guides representing learning and whatever would of course be more present.
Okay. So do you hear him or do you see him? Like, how do you get the words? Yeah.
That's a question that I often get. How do you know when you're connected? I don't know. I just know. I warm up, meaning that I meditate before I have clients. And so I warm up. And so when I sit in front of my client, I close my eyes and then I just get the connection. I just feel it. I don't get like a sensation. There's no tingle. There's no warm feeling or cold feeling, or you know. I just know that I have a connection, and then that's a feeling. That's a feeling of connection, of connecting to you, or connecting to my client, and you know, as soon as I say I'm ready, then I start getting both emotions. That's usually how it starts. And that's usually how most clairvoyants, which means clear seeing, it's usually more or primary, it's clear feeling. So you feel it, or I feel it, then I see it, and then I hear it. And sometimes I have that I taste it, also smell it. It could be flowers, it could be perfume, it could be, you know, something.
But how do you hear it? Like a
I hear
voice?
it in my inner voice. So I hear it as a voice speaking inside my head.
Like a man voice then?
That would be a man voice, yes. And then it would be, if it was a woman, it would be a female voice. So, yeah. And also see with my inner third eye. I don't see it as in physical, and I don't hear. Sometimes I do hear it physically, but that it distracts me too much. So I've kind of like trained myself up in not seeing it in a physical way. Actually, I could see, and I do that sometimes, spirits as when you're sitting right here, and that just disturbs me a bit, and it takes a lot of my energy.
So you mean that you can, if you will focus on it, you can see? I
always decide it myself. That's the thing.
So they appear physical?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you understand how that is possible?
I think by determination and willpower. I think once that you leave the face of this earth and becomes a spirit, and it becomes, you know, an energy, I think that you can have the willpower to come back and just stand in front of myself.
So you've had this gift ever since you were a child, right?
I'm born with it. I think we all are.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, or you have said somewhere that you were in a closet.
Yes. I came back. I never really gave it much thought until I started my path on a spiritual level. But when I was about 4 years old, I was at my grandmother's with my twin cousins, and they're about 4 years older than me, and they were trying to lure me into a closet in the hallway where all the overcoats and footwear was, and of course to make me scared. But I wasn't that dumb at the moment, so we started to go in there, all three of us, locking the door, and then they would try to scare me, and I got scared, and then I would lock myself in there with one of them at the time, and the handle was broken, so you needed to. It was kind of like loose, so you could take it out of the door, but you can also put it in and then open. So eventually, they talked me into going into the closet myself with the handle, and I got in, and they shut it, the door. And it was pitch dark in there, and I got scared immediately. Also because I could hear something noisy from the basement, and they were standing outside talking to me, saying that this is the boogeyman from the basement coming to get you and what. So, but I did have the handle, but in all of my fear, and I lost it, and it was dark in the closet, and I couldn't find it, and I felt that all of the coats were kind of like long arms reaching out for me, and all of the footwear was kind of like crawling up my legs and everything. So I was really, really scared, and almost peed my pants if I didn't. I don't remember that, but I was really, really scared. I just wanted to get out, and I was kind of like searching in the dark with my hands to find the handle, and all of a sudden the whole closet was lit up by a very, very bright light, but it was kind of like pointed down to a shoe where the handle was in. So I'd lost it into a shoe, so I couldn't find it, And so I saw the handle clearly, and so I grabbed it and put it in the hole. I could see the light from the hallway coming in, so I knew exactly how to put the handle in, and so I just got out of the closet and just slammed in the door. And then I think at that moment, that's how I also slammed the door to the spirit world, because I was not going to let this, take over or happen to me or whatever it was. But that was kind of like a memory that came up later on in life. But I've always had a sense of energy, that I could feel if people were good for me or not, or if there was a good energy in a room that I was about to walk into. But I thought that was common. I thought that was normal. And first, much later, when I was in my late 20s, about 30 years old, I found out that it wasn't really like that. And sometimes I would find myself saying, usually if I have had a little bit of alcohol and was more loose, and I would find myself saying things to people. Like, friends, and say, well, mostly women, my female friends, say, why are you going out with him? He's a psychopath, or he's not good for you. So I was like, why should I say this? And, and so I also quickly learned to shut up and not say anything.
And you're a medium as well, so you see, people around?
At that time, I didn't really, because I didn't know that. I had a feeling of something, but I never knew what it was.
So it seems like you have to open up for it, because a lot of people are saying the same thing, that, it was there, but I'd shut it down or put it away.
Truly. And I've met so many people with similar stories. And actually, I opened when I had a shock, or I had a life-changing moment.
So are people opening up more and more to this? Because I know you had some famous people here.
Oh, yes. Yes, they are. Although I've never really had any... I've had a lot of skeptics in my chair, in my sofa. I'm a skeptic myself, funny enough, still. I mean, I don't just go into anything about about the spirit world and the alternative world. I'm always very careful, but I promised myself that I would give everything a chance. And if I don't feel the energy on the person, then I don't really care about it. But yes, but I don't know. I've been so blessed, wonderfully blessed. I've been so very lucky. I've been so carried along the way. I've never really felt that this was something
No threats in a way.
No, I've always, I mean, my family and, and my partner might not have understood exactly what I was going through all of the time, but I've never met resistance or anything. People, I've sat with people in dinner parties or, that didn't understand. It was like, oh yeah, fine. And then, then we didn't talk more about that, but that's fine. That's good. Yeah. I don't expect people to understand things like this. It's huge, I think. Even for myself, it was a huge deal.
Someone thinks it's scary. I think skeptics sometimes can be afraid, like, yes. What are you seeing? Yeah. I don't like that you see through me.
Exactly. And also, what will you see? And so I've sat with people. I've sat with one woman once. I was her client, and I didn't. That was not the right time. She told me a lot of good things, but I couldn't take it in. I wasn't there at the time, and when I walked from there, I was just like, I was so devastated. I was so I'd lost my faith in everything, and I think it took me about 4 to 5 years before I understood that was she was telling me all good things, but it wasn't about to happen at that time. I do that myself. I can sit with people and then come back and they say, you said it was gonna happen, next year, but it's actually been 2 years. And I said, well, I mean, sometimes there's no time in the universe or in the spirit world. That's an earthly thing. So I have to tap into when I think it is. Or maybe you weren't ready, or maybe you took some detours and were not ready for it.
It's not set in stone.
No, not always. No, not really. But also then people call me back and said, you said I was going to sell my house on the 23rd of January, and I did.
Okay, so it can be so specific.
It can. But the thing is that I'll never know when that is. But I have to say what I feel. Otherwise, I feel that I'm being untrue.
Yeah. This was lovely.
It's been a great meeting. Yes. I have to say, you have a very good energy. You have a fantastic energy. You're very lively in your energy. You're very inviting in your energy. That helps. When you go see a person like me, when you see people like me, a person like me, it really helps to be open, not just to be inviting. You'll get much more out of it.
Thank you so much. And right back at you. You have a wonderful, wonderful energy. And I've just noticed that it just helps, when we're in this flow together, because then we can, that actually goes through the camera as well. And it's important.
I hope so. Yeah. I definitely hope so. The thing is that is what we're about to enter. We're about to enter that. So you will see more and more people. It's not that it's going to be more with abilities. I think we've always been around. But it's just going to be more open. It's more accepting at the moment. So you will find people that taps into different lifestyles and that energy, which is wonderful. If we can get them all to meditate, then the world is going to be a totally better place to live in.
Oh, yeah, I believe so too. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you again. I'm so happy that you came all the way to Denmark. Come back.
Me too. I will. Maybe I will.
You should.
And thank you for watching, guys. I hope this was interesting. I would just kind of let the camera, run here. And, I have to ask you, if somebody wants to contact you, would that be possible? For a reading?
Oh, sure, definitely. If you care for reading, I do readings in Danish and I do them in English as well. Sometimes my English gets a little rusty, but so bear with me in that.
Oh no, this was perfect.
Thank you. You can visit my website. It's www.flemmingbille. That's FLEMMINGBILLE.com. So visit that, and you can always find me on Facebook as well. That's my name also, Flemming Bille. Thank you for now.
Thank you for watching, guys. Much light. Bye-bye.